Welcome to Go South Outdoors. I was pretty pumped about our recent fishing trip for a number of reasons. First of all, it was a chance to fish again with my son Chris, who's the mate aboard the charter boat Escape. Chris and I have enjoyed lots of adventures aboard my sport fish boat Vixen, and we fished the Gulf to the Bahamas and throughout South Florida. Secondly, I'd heard lots about the captain of the Escape, Skipper, who does everything from running half-day bottom fishing trips to several day-long tuna trips, and really knows his stuff.
I'm Skipper Theory. We're here on the Escape. It's a 65-foot custom fishing boat. We're here out of Dauphin Island, Alabama. Our family's been fishing down here for around 40 years. We've been operating this boat around 12. We also have another 60-footer, the Lady Ann. We offer fishing trips from 6 hours to 3 days, really. We do starting with the 6-hour trips, like a great trip to bring your kids on for their first time and catch some fish. And then we offer 2- and 3-day offshore trips for tuna, marlin, wahoo, and dolphin. We can tailor any kind of trip to fit your needs based on your group size and fishing experience.
With snapper season closed, the plan was strictly catch and release. So Skipper decided to take us to a couple of his close-in honey holes. Once we cleared the lighthouse, he ran only a few miles before making his first stop. We were so close to shore, I have to say I was a little skeptical, but I was soon proven wrong. Then there was the chance to fish again with Brent Gutierrez. Brent and I have been on a number of man-trip expeditions to fish places like Costa Rica and Panama. We've caught lots of big fish, like Brent's 85-pound mai-mai. But there's another reason fishing with Brent is special. He owns Killer Bee baits and brought bunches of natural and artificial baits for us to try out. It was almost an unfair advantage, as you'll soon see. As soon as our baits hit the water, we were hooked up. Brent caught a nice amberjack, followed quickly by Chad's beautiful red snapper. I was itching to get into the action, and it sure didn't take long. I knew I had hooked a nice fish, but had no idea just how nice until we had it on board. This pearl belly was well over 20 pounds. I think that's a legal one, isn't it?
I think that'll make it. That's Killer Bee. Yeah, you gotta go.
Stay tuned, we'll be right back with more fishing action with the Killer Bee bait team. We continued to catch nice fish, but when another boat came snooping around, Captain Skipper decided it was time to move from his secret honey hole. At the next spot, we continued to catch fish, but this location was definitely not in the same class as the first one. Of course, we still had fun. On a gorgeous day like this, with calm seas, fishing off a great boat like the Escape, with the big ones hungry and biting, and spending time with great fishing buddies and a pro captain and crew, It's pretty hard not to enjoy yourself. Once you're on good bottom structure and find the fish, they tend to get fired up. That's one of the fun things about bottom fishing for snapper. When this happens, the action is non-stop. Usually, as the fish get fired up, they start to move up off the bottom. We like to freeline a bait on the surface to catch those big sows that rise up hungry.
That's a nice one.
Sometimes the snapper are so thick it's hard to get your bait past the smaller ones to hook up the studs. These smaller amberjack are still fun to catch. The big ones will flat out wear you down. While it was hard releasing those big fish, it really was for the best. Not just because the season was closed, but because of fecundity. These fish tend to produce far more eggs as they grow larger. The larger fish also tend to produce larger eggs that are more buoyant, and they spawn for over a longer period of time. And that serves to distribute the eggs over a wider area. This means more hatchlings with higher odds of survival. We caught several amberjack, though not big ones. They sure fought hard. I think next to tuna, pound for pound, amberjacks are among the hardest and toughest fighters. Chad was next up with an AJ.
On credit.
As the snapper rise up off the bottom, it means you can catch them a lot shallower, but that means that they are still full of fight by the time they get near the boat.
Say that Killer Bee is bringing them in today. We're catching 20-pound plus snappers regularly.
After we had caught and released all the snapper and amberjack we wanted, we stopped by an anchored ship to try our luck with cobia using a black and gold Killer Bee jig. Though we didn't have any luck, Brent left the jig with Chris, and he hooked cobia with it on the next 2 trips. And not only did Chris catch cobia on the jig, he caught the same one 3 times. That fish wouldn't give up. It must really have loved that bait. Stay tuned. Coming up next is our clip of the week. Captain Chris Barlow had his anglers on the fish and they were loading the boat when one of them hooked up. While it was a nice white trout, there was something else that made this fight memorable, and that was the big redfish that decided it too wanted that same fish.
That's extra cut bait. He wants it. He still wants that fish.
Walk up midway right here.
Attaboy, Donnie.
Yes, sir. They call me Johnny. That's my son dog Rico.
Big fish holes going right there.
I gained that name because I busted through his apartment door. About the time I
just do short strokes, like pull up 8 inches, reel down 8 inches.
Yeah, that's what I'm working with.
Oh, watch out, man.
Keep doing it. Keep doing what you're doing.
Oh, he's covered in dots.
Yeah, he's a pretty one. Hell yeah. That's a pretty fish.
Yeah, that's a nice fish.
That's a neat one.
Hey, he smashed that white trout. You got all this on video too, don't you?
Hell yeah.
Oh, there's the hook.
There's
I think it all went all the way through. All right, cool. Let me go.
It went all the way through.
Let me go anchor back up real quick.
All right. No, he's covered in dots.
Good job.
That is a pretty fish.
What a great clip. For your chance at Clip of the Week, submit your videos to gulfsouthoutdoors@gmail.com. When we come back from the catch to the kitchen, it's time for Hook It and Cook It.
All right, today we're going to be making a grilled grouper with the roasted corn salsa. It's going to be a really healthy dish here for the end of the summer here on the Biloxi Gulf Coast. It's going to start, we're just going to simply sear the grouper on the grill, and we're going to finish it in the oven. Once it's cooked properly, we're going to take it out and top it with a roasted corn salsa. It's going to consist obviously of roasted corn, and we're going to add some baby heirloom tomatoes, some charred green onions, a little bit of sweet bell pepper, and a little bit of jalapeno pepper just for a little heat. I like a little heat in there, so I like to throw a little jalapeno in there, but it's not terribly hot like a jalapeno or anything. So we're gonna add the jalapeno, then we're gonna toss it in a little bit of lime juice, and then top the whole thing off with a little cotija cheese, which is a nice Mexican crumbling cheese. Kind of tastes like a little bit in between like a mild feta or a Parmesan. It's kind of right in the middle there. So it's gonna have a fairly strong tasting cheese. You're gonna taste it. It's not gonna just be like mozzarella or a mild tasting cheese. And this dish, to me, is going to pair wonderfully with like a Sauvignon Blanc or Pinot Grigio or Chardonnay. Any of those wines will work very, very well with this. Or if you're like me, I just like a cold beer and a nice fish with the salsa on top, and I'm good to go. So we start with crumbled cotija cheese, sweet bell pepper with a little bit of jalapeno pepper, grilled green onions, cilantro, baby heirloom tomatoes, jumbo lump crab, and roasted corn, a little bit of lime juice. We're going to toss all that up, but first we grill our grouper after we add just a little salt and pepper. roasted corn, jumbo lump crab, baby heirloom tomatoes, peppers, charred green onions, and some cilantro. Squeeze in a little bit of lime. Give that all a gentle stir. Beautiful color. With this dish, it's my personal taste coming to the dish with the heat, and a lot of people do too. I would probably make it a little bit like a little hotter if I was making it, because I like spicy things. So I might even throw a little bit of habaneros in there. But the jalapeno or poblano pepper is a little more in the milder range, but not. It's still going to bite you a little bit and go, hey, there's a little spice there. So this is a really nice mid-level heat for this kind of a dish. Grilled grouper with corn and crab salsa and cojita cheese.
I hope you enjoyed the show, and please join us next week to find your outdoors.
Oh.